Hello there. Rachelle Jones, Grief Recovery says it's letting people know that we've started a live video. So when they get here, they get here. Today is a quick wow video, Wisdom on Wednesday webinar. I don't remember if I did one last week. I just don't know. Life happens here, and that's just how it goes. But here we are for this Wisdom on Wednesday webinar. And we're here to change narratives, right? So that means we have to look at current things that are being said or used, how they might be being said or used, evaluate if they are helpful. And if they aren't, perhaps learn something that we can use that is correct and helpful. Okay. And this grief recovery method being evidence-based, we know that this method is going to be helpful as long as it's used the way it's supposed to be used. We are pretty certain that it'll give you a measure of recovery because we want you to feel better. And so we want to use tools. Hi, thank you for being here. We want to make sure that we're giving you tools and information that we know works. And this one does. That's what evidence-based means. So current narratives for this wow is do you ever hear statements or just things people say that leave you feeling bewildered or confused or whatever? And I often will just ask people, but then they usually don't know how to respond. So a couple that I want to talk about today are this statement of I'm processing. Someone goes through something intense or painful or just otherwise does not feel good. And they say, I'm processing. I'm processing through that. Okay. Or I hear something like, it is what it is. Yeah. So these are things that leave me perplexed, and I will often ask questions. For example, the is what it is. That one to me says, well, it happened and there's nothing I can do about it. If you're using it in a way to go back into the past to change what happened, you're right. There's nothing that can be done about it. I'm curious, what does that mean to you? So I'll usually ask, it is what it is. Well, what is it? How has it left you feeling? Whatever the it is, I don't necessarily need to know the details of what happened, but how has it left you feeling? And that we can express, that we can explore, and that we can take action on. But simply saying it is what it is a way of saying what's in the past is in the past. Yep, except for we bring the emotional response to what happened in the past into our current present today, and that doesn't help us. So the emotional buildup from stuff of yesterday or before is really getting in the way of us truly being present and fully focused and having peace in this moment. So we have to look at that. Yes, we can't change the factual thing that happened, but we can change how your heart is currently reacting as a result of that, right? So it is what it is. I just want you to think about if you say that, or if other people say that, how does it leave you feeling? Do you feel perplexed? Do you feel confused? Do you feel like the sentence was a ... and they didn't actually finish the sentence? You're just sort of waiting for, so what is it? You see, it doesn't work. You want to go back and check your logic. That statement of it is what it is. Hi, Ree, good to have you here. That statement of it is what it is, that might be logically true, but it's emotionally untrue. So we have to look at that if that's something that we're using. That's the difference of using our head, our logic, factual stuff that might be true, versus using our heart. Our heart says, yeah, but it doesn't feel, what it is not feeling good. So I would like to work on what it is. See the aftermath of that. And that's what we do here. So get really specific. Use emotional language. Do you feel unloved? Do you feel unwanted? Do you feel worthless, uncared for, not good enough? Not seen, not important. What is it? How has that left you feeling? Okay. So if that's one that you use, I'd like you to think through that and change that narrative a little bit. How about the I'm processing? And I hear this one all over the place. Do you know phones? What do I have here? I have this device. If you go online and it has the ring if it can't pull up a page, and it'll just cycle through with the ring of can't pull up the page, thinking, thinking, thinking. I think we all were probably pretty familiar with that, whether it's on a computer, a phone, a tablet, or whatever. It's just like in this waiting pattern, and we're just, what is it happening? So processing, what does that actually mean? I always get so confused on, what are you trying to tell me? Processing. So let's go to the dictionary, because we're very fancy here and we just use the dictionary. Just the first definition and the rest that follow. The first definition is of processing is an act or operation of putting something through a prescribed process. A prescribed process, which means it's exact, it's specific, it's precise and succinct. We know what the process is. The process of washing the laundry for me is, gathering like items and putting them in the dishwasher, in the washing machine. There's a process to stuff. There's a process to how we get a gas. Sore subject, right? Gas in our car. There's a process to stuff, and we know that, well, we're not going to get gas in our car just because. We have to actually go to the gas station and pay for it, and then take the cap off and select the correct button and put it in our vehicle. You see what I'm saying? There's a process. So when people say this in response to emotional situations, I'm always left thinking like, well, what's the process? Generally, it seems as though, and I want you to evaluate for yourself if you use this or if you hear other people use it. Generally, it seems to be used in this way of, I feel it. Yep, I still have the feelings. 6 months later, I'm still processing. A year later, I'm processing. What does that mean? What does that mean? The act or operation of putting something through a prescribed process. What is your prescribed process? What does it mean? Usually, processing, people use it like, yeah, I'm aware that this situation happened and I'm allowing myself to be aware of it and not try to suppress it. Okay. And then, it means that I feel it. A lot of times, their processing means that they start to engage in these things that we call STIRBs, short-term energy relieving behaviors. STIRBs. That means we're doing some stuff to try to feel better, but it's not a prescribed process. So we do the things we've learned, or the things that we've seen on social media, the things we've seen on TV or movies, or what people have told us. You just need to be alone. You need some alone time. You need to just go to the gym, or if you're a runner, you just need to run, or if you like to practice yoga, go to yoga. If you practice meditation, you need to meditate. A lot of times it's people, doing different types of drugs today. Like I hear a lot of mushrooms being used to try to dig through these feelings. But maybe they are eating, but this is how I process, right? Which means I just try to change what I'm feeling. STIRBs are short-term energy relieving behaviors. And the thing about STIRBs is they work. They absolutely work for a little while. And then the original pain that you were STIRBing away comes back. So that's how we know that process was not effective, because that original pain will keep coming back. And so we have to keep going on our runs, or keep going on to our gyms, or keep eating, or keep going through a cycle of different things, keep working, keep shopping, keeps going back to social media to scroll again and again and again. Processing is usually used in this way of STIRBs. Yeah, it works, but just for a little while, and then the pain is back. So then we're still processing it, right? And gosh, doesn't that get exhausting? Even some people, their STIRB or their processing might include tears or laughter even. Those work for a short time, but tears don't. They just say, ow, I'm hurting, but they don't actually deal with the cause of the pain and the root of that emotional buildup. Crying is part of processing, sure, but it is not for everyone. And it's definitely not going to lead you to fully feeling better. It's a short-term feel better. Or they just get up and try again, or keep going through the motions, keep working, keep going. And again, that's just not going to work. But these are some ways that I find people use that word processing. So the first thing for you to do today to consider in changing narratives is consider what narrative you're using. If you use that word processing, wonder to yourself, hi, thanks for being here. If you use that word processing, really think of what is it? What does that mean for you? What is your prescribed process? A prescribed process, we should be able to write it down. So after you evaluate it, you should be able to see a clearly defined process. And if it's clearly defined, then you should be able to write it down. Step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this. I don't know about you, but when my heart is really hurting and life is knocking me down for whatever reason, I don't have clarity and focus. We lose focus when we are in a grief situation, which is just a very big emotional moment from a loss of hope, dreams, or expectations, among other things. But so I don't do well. I literally have a list right here. So I have my process written down. I'm going to do step 1, this, step 2, step this, step 3, this. That's what grief recovery method is. It's a clearly defined set of tools and actions to use in that moment. And it's written down and you get it, and we practice it together. So you know what to do. But then what do? I need a heart with ears. Well, in that moment, I suddenly forget everyone I know. So I truly have a sticky right here, a little sticky with 5 names on it of people who I can call in that moment when my mind is foggy and my heart is hurting, when I'm feeling brokenhearted. So part of the process should include, where you go when your heart is hurting. Have you taken time to really write this out? This is how we start to change this narrative of processing, because the word itself usually is used incorrectly or used in a way that says, I'm just waiting for time to fix me. I'm waiting for time to pass so I can feel better. That it doesn't work. So in the meantime, when time's not working, we're using all those stirb things that work for a little while, but not entirely. So we're in this vicious cycle, right? So write down your process, evaluate what that means for you when you say, I'm processing. What is the process? Because if it's a process that works, you should be able to share it. And that exact process should work for the person next to you. And if it doesn't, we need to go back and reevaluate the process. Okay. And that's what evidence-based means with the grief recovery method. It's written down and it can work for me. I can share it for the person next to me or with the person next to me. I can share it with the person, in Florida or New York City or uh, England or Ireland or Russia or Asia or wherever I want to share it, and know that there will be an actual feel better outcome for people. That's what evidence-based means. It's a process that's written down, organized, clearly defined. So you know what to do when your life's hurting. Because if you're like me, you get foggy and we don't know what to do all the time in the moment. Having it written down is essential. So really just getting in there and evaluating your words for real. Chew through it. It is what it is, or I'm just processing. Is that really helping you feel better? Is it code for some of these pieces of incorrect information? These are myths or misinformation. Well, don't feel bad. Just don't feel it, they didn't mean to, or it is what it is. Don't feel bad. There's nothing you can do about it. You're already feeling it. So you might as well just tell the truth that you're feeling it to yourself at least. And then maybe that'll give you courage to seek help. So avoid that. Don't feel bad. You already are. That's why it's on your heart and mind. It doesn't bubble up if it's not there. So if it's bubbling up, that's because it's hurting you in some way, whether it's intense or not. Your heart has a memory and it's like, hey, this is hurting. Avoid the concept of replacing the loss. So replacing that painful moment with something else, busyness, friendship, cars, work, sex, pornography, drugs, alcohol, food. It doesn't matter. Adventure, traveling. You can't replace your heartache with these things over here. That's just going to keep you busy, which is another one. Keeping busy, it doesn't work. You can stay busy as much as you want, but you can't outrun the pains of your heart. They will find a way to show up at some point, and it could be many years later. So you might fool yourself for a while, but it will come back up. That's just how it works. So keep busy is also a piece of misinformation. It just takes time. Time doesn't work by itself, ever. Time must have correct and specific action taken while it's moving. So that goes back to the process. Did you write it down? Does it actually work? And can it work for someone else? That's how you know it works or not. And if it doesn't work for someone else long term, then it didn't work. It's not an effective process. You got to go back to the drawing board. So it just takes time, doesn't work. We've got to add specific action to it. Grieving alone, just having alone time. Sure, there might be a moment where you just need to pause and settle in and connect with yourself, but being alone in and of itself does not work for heartache. So saying it is what it is and then just trying to be alone, it's not going to work. And then being strong. How about we don't be strong and we just be human? When we're trying to be strong, it robs our opportunity or our ability to be honest. So we have to be willing to be honest emotionally. I'm feeling run down. I'm feeling unloved. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling weary, feeling unwanted, uncared for, unacknowledged, whatever it might be, unsafe. I'm having a hard time trusting you, whatever it might be. Avoid those beliefs. So I want you to really evaluate your it is what it is, or I'm processing. Does it include those pieces of misinformation, those things that we know don't work? And if it does, we've got to go back to the drawing board. Your process is not effective. Okay. So as you're looking to get into recovery, evaluate your current narratives, decide if they're really working, and perhaps consider changing your narrative. I love you all. Send comments and questions down below. I'd love to hear them. And you can DM me or even email me. The links in the bio so that we can, have a talk and hear each other's thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I love you, everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.